Here's another sports moment from Vermont Adaptive Ski and Sports.
My name is Michael Thomas Burke.
And my name is Michael Hugh Burke, and Mike Burke is a very good friend of mine.
Okay, Michael. Oftentimes when we share students together and we'll be out in public and people always want to talk about what's the nature of our athletes' disabilities. But I would like to hear what you view as the attributes of our student. What are some of the characteristics that you see in our students? What are the characteristics you see in the families? What are the characteristics of the volunteers?
Well, let me talk about the families first. It's amazing to me, the parents of kids who have disabilities. Quite often, the ones that I meet are really successful people who are dedicated to seeing that their kids have a bountiful and fulfilling life. And it reminds me of an incident where I had a little boy who was about 4 years old who was born with some sort of birth defect. I think the left side of his body was impaired. He had difficulty walking, had difficulty balancing. And he came with his grandparents, his aunts, his uncles, his cousins, his mom and dad, and a couple of other siblings. And we went out and we started him, as we always do, walking around in his ski boots, putting his skis on, walking around, sliding a little bit. Later on, I found out that his grandfather was standing behind the glass watching this with tears running down his face because he was a boy who was not expected to live. They thought he'd never leave the hospital because he was so seriously ill. And here he was 4 years later out on skis. The next day, when he made his first run down the bunny slope and turned and maneuvered, all of his cousins, all of his aunts, all of his uncles, his mom, his dad, and his grandparents were at the bottom of the hill to cheer. And at that point, I had tears.
I have no doubt.
Vermont Adaptive Ski and Sports was honored to be a community partner with NPR's StoryCorps in Burlington, Vermont in August 2016. Thanks to our volunteers, athletes, and staff who participated in recording Vermont Adaptive's history. Full interviews are archived with the National Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. For more information about volunteering, participating, or donating, visit vermontadaptive.org.